Shall we?
Yes, I guess so. Are you you acquired all your Greek items? You're all loaded up and ready?
I did. My mom sent me on a quest, not unlike that of Hercules himself, to procure various Greek cheeses and these things that to this day I don't know the Greek term for, but it's a Middle Eastern snack
Hmm.
as well, where it's just like roasted roasted sesame seeds, then like pressed in with honey, and
I
that's
Yeah, I know what you're
yeah.
talking about. I eat that shit all the time. It was funny because I was looking at the shopping list and I was like, aside from the whole spiel about Vickie behind the counter, like this is my shopping list.
Just various Mediterranean cheeses, yeah.
It's like I love feta. I love cracker candy. Like whatever. That's what my
I
mom used to call it when I was little, was like cracker candy. Because I guess
cracker.
yeah, what's the fucking name for it?
Yeah,
Um
we just call it the honey sesame thing. You know what I mean? Because like let's real fast. It's Papa's basement. I'm John Papageorgiou. She's Mollie Heckerling.
I'm
Uh,
Mollie Heckerling. Before we go off on our Greek tangent, I guess
yes,
intros are appropriate.
I mean, I guess we owe it to the listeners. I don't know.
This is our format. We ramble on for about 5 minutes for a cold open.
Yeah,
And then remember that you have to do the intro.
we we captivate, and then we remember the intro. Yeah, I am recording with a belly full of Adderall, the
Mm,
24-hour kind. Apparently, I looked on the bottle, and it literally just said amphetamine dash 24-hour.
nice.
So I don't know if I'm sleeping tonight. We're gonna see how that goes. And I am parked in my 2014 Honda Civic,
Hmm.
like garbage all around me, like a fucking cosmonaut. And I am parked beneath a dead end sign because no metaphor is too on the nose for this boy.
This sounds like a sequence from like a 1990s like emo movie, like American Beauty or something, like you just having a nervous breakdown in your car surrounded by food wrappers.
Yeah, like some real estate king just got done fucking my ass, and I realize I need to go back to Kevin Spacey. And
Yeah. You're having an existential crisis in your car and binging on feta cheese.
yes, and staring at the I don't know what the term is for the calendars. By the way, Molly and I are talking about these tweets that I put out about 30 minutes ago before
Mhm.
recording. My mom sent me a shopping list, and fuck, I guess I can just read the emails right here, right?
Please do. It was
Yes.
very endearing.
So I go to the deleted thing because God forbid we prep, and I already deleted these. Okay. So my mom sent me two emails. The first titled, "Please pick up new calendar and some goods at Aphrodite. John, I would appreciate if you saved me the challenge of driving to Aphrodite Greek Imports, which is probably like 35, 40 minutes from our house. My mom is like 78.
Mm-hmm.
She is a living weapon
Oh
at this
shit.
point, like
Yeah,
behind a
behind the
wheel.
wheel.
Like she is there's a non-zero chance like she could do one of those things where like when the news first spreads, middle America is like, shit, it's ISIS, I knew it. And it's like, no, it's just an old woman that drove into a McDonald's, like,
for
and kill.
for some reason, I still envision her as being one of those people who's like married to the stick shift.
Yeah. she she has a 68 Datsun. Yeah. No, I don't know. She was one of those people who was so high strung that I think she learned to drive like in her mid to late 30s.
Oh, okay. So
Be-
she's like me and my mom.
yeah, exactly. Like her mom just was like screamed at her for, I guess, whatever the duration of that first driving lesson was.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I'm done. I'd rather enter into a loveless marriage to get driven around by my first husband than I
I
would
mean,
put up
it's
with
a
this
way to
shit.
go. I've been there. I mean, it's not a conscious decision that you make, but like, yeah, you just settle into not having to drive. My grandmother never knew how to drive. So yeah, my grandfather drove everywhere. I think my mom tried to teach her once and she wouldn't put her foot on the accelerator. She only would take it on and off the brake. And she was like, let's just work with this pedal for today.
This one doesn't scare me. We'll
Yeah.
build on this foundation maybe a
Yeah.
week or two from now.
And then my mom, like, she learned to drive when she moved to LA, but she was like 25, and she still won't go on the freeway. Like that scene in
Mm-hmm.
Clueless where they're all freaking out on the fucking freeway, like that's what would happen to her.
Yes.
So I only recently learned to like drive on the freeway because this whole time my mom and my grandma, like, you know, the everlasting Greek chorus of fear, you know, just
Yeah.
like,
I
what do
love
you
how it's
want to
like
do
this
that
ancestral
for?
memory thing. You're like, look, if someone up the family line didn't know how to drive down the highway, I can't do it. Well, was your mom born and raised in New York City or?
She was born and raised in the Bronx and in Queens.
Okay,
Uh
well, fuck. A lot of people from New York kind of don't
don't
get the
drive.
license. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's not the biggest thing. So the fact that she went out and did it, that's pretty good.
You just get you get set in your ways, and she drives very much like she operates. Like it's very like I'm going, I'm stopping. It's like very jerky.
Yes, I there's a harsh braking that even when my mom was more proficient, yeah, like you would walk out with a bruised sternum. Like you look like Marky Mark in Fear, where he's
Right.
banging on his face.
You're a little nauseous. You have slight whiplash.
Yeah,
You look like Marky Mark. It's a bad scene.
it's not good. And she should not be driving at all. So yeah, I guess she was like, go and procure these items 3 for me.
Mm-hmm.
So she's talking about Aphrodite Greek import. She says, usually Vickie works behind the counter and stands where the cheeses and olives are.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for Vickie in bold or Sula in bold, and then a notation of how Sula is pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
Say that your mother, Maria Papageorgiou, spoke with Vickie this week and asked her to save a calendar for her. Vickie said she would save me a calendar.
Right.
Also, tell them you want to buy some things. Please get a half pound of feta, parentheses, Greek, which I don't know why she specified the Greek feta.
You know, as opposed to the Japanese feta.
Well, truth be told, I remember, here's like an actual little Greek nugget of knowledge I can give you. Like, we used to think the Greek feta was like the sharpest, shittiest feta. Like, I think we would do the Bulgarian feta. Like, that was
Oh.
closer almost to an American cheese that you could really just shovel in.
It was the Velveeta of Greek.
Yes, exactly that. So I find it odd that my mom has now pivoted to the Greek, because we used to feel like bad Greeks being like, fuck, give us the Albanian feta, anything but the Greek feta, that stuff's garbage.
It's like trailer trash cheese.
Yeah, it was it had a real punch to it that I guess it still does. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Half pound of casseri, as it's pronounced, which I
Okay.
don't remember. That's pretty much Greek provolone,
Okay.
but I could be wrong. And then 3 sesame seed bars, parentheses, or circles, if they have them. Thank you.
Circles.
Yes, they can also serve them in a circular shape. Yes.
Okay. That I've never seen.
Well, I guess that one is like a log roll that they then chop.
Oh, I know what she's talking about. Those are
Yeah.
shit.
Because I've seen this stuff made in Crete, and they
Right.
make like a huge fucking like plate of it the size of like a mosaic.
Right.
And then they just like slowly chop it into these strips. I mean, I guess that's how they make it in the old country, like it's probably made
Right. That's
out
like
in
the
Newark
same
now.
thing with like brittle, right? You make a big sheet of something and then you just bash it with a
Yes,
hammer and hope kids
exactly.
don't cut their mouths up on it.
It's just brittle for hairy people. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. It's old world honey, sesame seeds, none of the good ingredients that made America as fat as it is. Brittle.
Yeah. Keep going with the list, because there were just so many nuances to this that I loved that I wanted to break down afterwards.
That was the first email, and as if that didn't break things down enough for her son, who, like, I don't brag often about my intellect, Molly, but like as a kid, I think I tested with like a 150 IQ. I still had a high enough IQ a couple of years ago to get into Mensa, but I was too lazy to send in the fucking papers.
Well, there you go. Smart people are famously lazy.
Yeah. So like, let's not act like I need this level. Fucking Forrest Gump would be insulted by this level of I'm going to parse it out for you. like, like Forrest Gump would be like, I'm not a smart man, but Jesus fucking Christ. So I just spoke with Vickie. This is a subsequent email. I just spoke with Vickie to tell her you will come by to pick up the calendar and get some feta, cassetti, and sesame seed bars. She used to be very sexy and pretty.
Yeah.
Older now, she is still a pretty woman.
Okay.
She'll be there till 6:30. All caps. Please remember the calendar. Thanks, Mom.
So I think the second part like was my favorite and like, even amplified the first part to me because it's sort of like at first it like reads very much like, okay, my idiot son needs to be handheld through every minor detail. Like tell
Yeah.
them you would like, but it also reads very old ladyish in the way where it's like, look at the number on my medical bracelet, call the operator and ask to talk to Sarah. Like, and then the second part though to me was like, oh, she's trying to hook you up with Vickie too in
I
the midst of this whole, you know,
I mean, I would hope.
quest for calendars and cheese and, brittle seed shit.
I read it as you are so stupid you might not know what's going on in your pants when you see Vickie, but it's a reaction that's normal because she's sexy and pretty.
I thought it was sort of like, and maybe this is just the inner Yenta in me where it's
Yes.
like, well, Vickie's very nice and my son is single and she's single and, even though she's a little older, she's still very sexy. Like,
She can.
so she'll be there till 6:30. Nudge, nudge. Don't forget the calendar though, even if she gives you a chubby. Like,
Yeah. I know you'll be distracted and you'll want to sneak off behind the baklava
yeah.
and pleasure yourself, but don't do
Right.
that.
Yeah, if she gives you a semi, it's okay because I've already called in the order. It's idiot proof.
Yeah, exactly. You can be drooling like mice and men over there, and she'll just hand you a bag and take the money right out of your pocket.
I'm also wondering if she primed Vickie over the phone to be like, my son is coming, he's very handsome.
Yeah, exactly. He's lost weight. I've heard that might make his penis function better.
I heard it might even make it look bigger. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while.
I stopped wiping him 3 years ago. I don't know.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did sparks fly?
I mean, nothing against Vickie. She had to be like in her late 50s.
Okay.
Like,
So your mother is 78 though. Wait, how old are you?
I am a couple months shy of 41.
Okay.
Like, she had me late,
Yeah.
and then my dad had 9 years on her.
Mm.
So like
Okay.
people thought my pops was like my grandpa. And I am rapidly approaching that point myself. Like I was talking with a woman a couple of weeks ago who's in her late 20s, and she was just like, yeah, I had nothing against dating someone, who's 40. Like I kind of dig it actually. It's just like you have to face the fact that kind of at the end of things, one of you is going to be without the other for a while. And I just chuckled like, no, you're not. And then I realized like my dad has been dead 20 years. And I'm like,
Yeah. Um, but he also, he's I don't know.
oh, he lived a hard life. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean like he went with something that you don't recover from. And I don't know, it sucks and it's sad. But in the grand scheme of things, like I don't know. What was she was in her late 20s and you're like in your early 40s. Like that's not like the biggest age difference in the universe. I don't know. Then again, like my boyfriend before Jason was 29 years older than me. So I'm
I
I'm
remember
all
you
fucked up in
disclosing
that.
that. That was
My point
impressive.
of view was always sort of like you could get hit by a car crossing the street and you never know, and age is just a number. But like at a certain point you realize that like it's more than just a number. mainly because you're in like vastly different phases of your life. But like,
Yeah, and like your references just aren't going to land exactly.
well, no, it wasn't about the references because
You're like, John, I watch TV from the
I'm an
1920s.
octogenarian at
Yeah.
heart. So I mean, like, that's the only reason why I tend to gravitate
Also,
to people
note
who
what
are.
is important to me in a relationship. Like, I want to be able to mention, hey, dude, and not get
Yeah.
a
Oh,
blank
really?
stare back.
Yeah, you're about like contemporary references. I'm like, look, sex is fine, but I need you to be a Honeymooners fan. Like, it's essential
Yeah, look,
to the sex.
you need to threaten to punch me into an astral body. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't come unless you're threatening to smack me around. And your friend's rooting around in the refrigerator.
Oh, that's seedy tenement, abusive.
But
Fucking
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like the age difference thing, it's like, if you're talking about 10, 15 years, I don't know, it's a wash. Who gives a shit? Like, yeah, one's gonna be without the other. Like, everyone dies alone. Get over it. Date someone else. Like, people fuck in nursing homes all the time, I think. I don't know.
They do. Oh God. I mean, I remember people talking about, like, I read articles to the effect of like people were having to explain safe sex to their parents in nursing homes because these dirty motherfuckers are operating like it's still 1943,
Right.
and they're home from the war effort for a week or whatever the hell,
Right.
and we're just raw dogging left and right, and suddenly like
Why do you
granny.
think it was called the Greatest Generation?
Exactly, nary a condom to be found. like like
They didn't even have herpes back then.
I imagine their condoms looked the same as like their stockings. Like
Yeah.
there was no elastic to it. Like it had the bands coming out the top that hooked into like a second garter belt.
Yeah. It was like a button up with spats.
Just in no way disposable. You would hang it from like a clothing line to dry out the same as anything else.
Yeah, outside the window of your Brooklyn tenement.
Exactly. Screaming at your Irish neighbors. You're punching her too loudly. Get her to sleep.
This all really turns me on. See, I feel like I would be the biggest whore in the nursing home. Like, life doesn't have to end just when your spouse dies. I don't know. I mean, it sucks. It really sucks. But also it's like, that seems like a bullshit reason to be like, well, we can't date because you're going to die so much sooner than me. It really just yucks my yum.
Oh God. No, I mean, to be fair, the person in question, this is someone who lives at a distance, and she was like, yeah, what the fuck, like I'd still be down. I'm just saying it's a consideration. Yeah.
She lives in Bosnia. It's a moot point.
She's like, look, the citizenship won't leave with your corporeal body. I'm good. Oh shit. No, yeah, that's I guess that's something I really, as I try to get out there into the dating pool myself, it really is something I guess I have to consider. Like, in what direction do I want to play with the age ranges? You know what I mean? Or do I do both? Like, am I like, I will hook up with late 20s to early 50s and fuck it, just let it ride kind of mentality. I don't know.
I think there's no accounting for attraction. And on the
Mm-hmm.
other hand, I think it's okay to definitely set an age range, the same way you would on your casting network's profile.
Yes.
Just whatever makes you feel comfortable, whatever you
I
feel
can play the
comfortable playing.
following.
I always sort of think it's like, cut it off certainly before too young. Like, you don't want to be one of those creepy 41-year-old guys who's dating like a 19-year-old or something like that, or someone who doesn't have, your cerebral cortex isn't even fully developed until you're 25. You know what I mean? And young women
Exactly.
are
Yeah.
very sort of like I don't want to be patronizing. I know that I was very, I was looking for something because I was looking for myself. And when you're vulnerable like that,
All right, nursing home whore, go on.
yeah, I mean, it's easy for like a man, even unintentionally, to sort of fuck with that. So you want to be careful. So I would say for you, maybe you cut it off like under 20, but you date like, fuck it. Go as old as you fucking want. There's no accounting for attraction. And if the person's into you, like, fuck Joan Rivers. Like, sure, she's dead, but she's probably still DTF. Like, if you're into it, go for it.
I mean, now more than ever. Let's be real. Shit, that had probably been shut down for a while since the passing of Edgar. Maybe I'm not sure.
So no Vickie. She was a very nice, pleasant woman.
She
You got your
was.
feta.
I did.
You weren't so sexually aroused. You forgot the cracker candy.
No, I didn't pleasure myself against the cheese display like a fucking 70s Times Square peep show window.
Like a real Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Jerking off and rubbing your cum all over the spanakophonia.
Oh God. That was always like everything that dude did was horrible, but coming in a plant is like something that I will never get over.
To me, that was the most endearing thing about him, where it's like, oh, you really have a problem, you poor dear.
Yeah, that was the one where you empathized.
Yeah, where's your mommy?
Yeah, you're like, look, we are very woke these days, but I still don't think plant rape is a thing yet. Maybe give it 10 years. But yeah, I think we can all chuckle about a grown man ejaculating into a potted plant.
Yeah, that was like, you really just have no self-control.
Yeah, you are a fucking animal.
Okay, well, that's good that you didn't reach Harvey Weinstein levels of depravity.
No, my penis stayed housed the entire time. In fact, like I'm kind of doing the tummy full of speed Benjamin Button penis thing right now, where it's like all the way up to like my third rib.
Oh, it's turtling a little bit because of all the Adderall.
A little bit? Oh God.
Are you a woman now?
Yeah. Yeah. I look like a bodybuilding woman. Just a noticeable clitoris from all the tea.
So is it the time release Adderall? Like, did it take 8 hours to kick in and you're going to be partying all night and then you're going to sleep through New Year's?
I think so. Yeah. It is supposed to be the more spancel kind of Adderall. And I'm realizing this might have been a mistake because I was like, hey, I was talking to my doctor. I'm like, I can definitely notice when the Ritalin taps out. But it's like one of the cool things about the Ritalin tapping out is my penis returns to me at some point during the day.
Right.
Because if this is my life here on out, like I don't know, like even Joan Rivers' corpse is going to need a couple inches. Like this is not good right now.
Even her corpse is going to be like, is it in yet?
It's just, yeah. I mean, an amphetamine is such a, what do they call it? A vasoconstrictor. It's the complete opposite of Viagra that gets blood flowing fucking everywhere. So you do the goddamn math. You know what I mean? It's it's pretty much a chemical castrator you'd give to a pedophile.
That's so funny. The second you said about the Viagra, like I had this like Requiem for a Dream sequence moment where it's like, yeah, it just opens up all the vascular systems and everything gets wider.
Yeah, exactly. Except instead of the pupil, it's my urethra.
Yeah.
Just wide open.
Well then, yeah, you got to be careful with that shit, or at least plan your dates around it. One of the reasons why I stopped taking Celexa was because it made it like impossible for me to come.
Oh God.
And a friend of mine was like, well, I just like, when I know I'm gonna hook up, or I only take half, or a blah blah blah, and it's like, I can't plan this shit. Like,
you're a
I have
mom
to be spontaneous.
Of two living at home. Yeah.
I'm a slut. I need to be able to just go.
Look,
like
you don't know
antidepressants.
You don't know when the boys are coming back from bocce in the nursing home, but you gotta be, yeah.
Yeah.
I completely get that. And that's I live a similar life where just my life is very unscheduled. Like I might know that I have an improv class tonight, or maybe I do have a date, ha 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 ha. But realistically, I'm a locksmith. I get random calls. I drive here, I drive there, or it might be the day that I don't do anything, and maybe I wanted to write today, or maybe I'm just going to watch Bob's Burgers for 6 hours on my iPad, like while fiddling with my soft, as Mike Sachs always loves to say. That's one of Mike Sachs's 3 like turns of phrase that I always love. He likes saying "fiddling with my soft" in tweets. He likes saying apostrophe fuck cares question mark, as in short for who the fuck cares. And then there's always random tweets about him being in a red Trans Am, trying
Mm.
to, like an 80s Trans Am, typically like an 88 Trans Am on Rockville Pike, which is where he grew up and very close to my house, trying to like cop strange or cocaine, possibly, possibly behind a Bob's Big Boy.
just riding around being like, be like cooler if you did.
I hate that I followed him so long. I just know these three things. Like, I love that guy. Fucking A.
He's, I've never met him. I
I
don't
know
know
you
him
said.
super well, but like we're MUFOs, and he tried to help me out by putting me in touch with his lit agent when I like tweeted that I was trying to like find someone to rep my book, and he was so sweet and cool about it. And now I feel bad that like because my book was such like a pile of like neurotic nonsense that like his agents probably turned around and were like, what the fuck was that you trying to
He's tried to set me up with people before too, like to help me along a little bit. Like he
yeah.
introduced me to a producer over at XM, a guy named, I think, oh shit, I don't think it's Rob Sprance, but it might have been.
Mm-hmm.
And long story short, like we followed each other on Twitter, we communicated for a bit, it like naturally petered out. And then
Right.
like a couple weeks later, I noticed the guy had just unfollowed me. I was like,
Oh.
fucking A, come on, man. Was that needed?
See, I guess I'm lucky in that sense because they never follow me in the first place. I just
Oh, so
like
you don't get the nut punch.
right. Well, I'm not with Mike, but yeah, with like when I'm trying to network with people or I have a meeting with somebody, like I don't know. It's sad when people try to help you and you're just such a hapless fuck up that it
I
just doesn't come to fruition. You feel like you owe them an apology.
At a certain,
Um,
it's like I feel you and I are in to some degree the same camp. Like we've certainly produced things in our lives,
right.
but you just it's when someone is like, okay, like what project do you have that I can help you further and like get you noticed, and you kind of like just want to almost like dump your toys on the table like a
Mm.
little kid, just be like, we can play with any of these, like there's the GI Joe who's ripped in half and the Optimus Prime who's
Yeah.
missing his right, like
This
it,
is the Barbie. I cut all her hair off and gave her really bad eye makeup.
yeah, you're like, well, I in my case, like I have the articles I used to write, I have a couple sketches, I've done stand up 20 times, I do a bunch of improv. Is that still marketable? Is it 2005? I've had this podcast for 14 years, and like they're all just like, what's your TikTok? What's your YouTube presence? And you're just like, I have none. And they say good day, and that's that.
Mm. See, I have a YouTube presence. My presence everywhere is very tiny. I feel like my circle's always very small and close and supportive, but like, you know, I make shit all the time, and it's just like, here, I made this thing, and everyone's like, ugh, no one asked for this. What a typical and disgusting display. I'm sorry, that's the name of another podcast by Alex Solkin and Julia Sharp. But
Oh,
I love that
that
phrase where
you've
it's just
cheated
like,
on me with. No.
yes. Well, no, I didn't cuck you with them. They're too good
Okay.
for me. I cucked you with Dave Juskow and Christine from Storyworthy. But yeah.
That is a cucking.
A typical and disgusting display. Yeah, everything I do, I feel like you know how some people are very cynical about people who put themselves out there in a way. I feel like it's maybe like, because they feel like it's phony, or because they secretly don't have the guts to do it, so they're a little judgmental or contemptuous.
Mm-hmm.
Like their act is sitting there with their arms folded waiting for you to impress them.
You sound like me receiving head.
Yeah. There you go. You're a judgmental audience because you're not in the ditches doing it.
Oh, exactly. Like the more I have tried to do anything, the more like even the world's shittiest movie, I'm like, look at that, a movie got made. Like it's so miraculous that anything happens.
Right. Yeah, no, but it got me thinking. It got me like self-reflecting, where it's like, am I trying to prove something? And then I was like, that can't possibly be, because everything I do is just such a fucking embarrassment.
It's so I don't know though. Like I've seen a lot of the puppet work you've done and I watch it and it's just one of those shitty things you have to realize about putting things out there
Hmm.
where like there are other, multiverses if you want to get into some quantum theory slash Marvel comics because that's where I
Okay.
learned it from. Whereas like this broke the right way and it went huge for you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like there was nothing inherently bad about it. Like it was a good product you put out there. Fuck.
Mm.
And it's just sometimes you put out something good and like the fuse is just 6 inches from a lit lighter and that's as
Right.
close as they get. And you're like, fuck.
And you know what's funny? I don't think that there's any. I mean, I do think that it has to do with, in a level, it's a quality thing or things that resonate, blah, blah, blah. But it has no bearing on how much the thing matters to you. And my favorite story about that is, my God, when Harold Ramis was making Stuart Smalley Saves His Family,
Mm-hmm.
um, which was like such a huge bomb. I think that he had like such high hopes for it
Uh-huh.
and was like telling people like this is the one they're gonna remember me for.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's just like, yeah, sometimes the thing you work the hardest on or you think is gonna be the thing that matters so much to you at the time, like it just doesn't land. And then something that you thought was garbage or a throwaway is the thing that everyone loves, and you're just like, what the fuck? It's like that with tweets, right? You ever tweet something, you're like, this is brilliant, and it gets no likes. You tweet something you think is dumb as fuck or hacky, and then
Oh, I don't
um
I don't want to admit like how much effort in the late 2000s, early 2010s I put into my Twitter because
really.
I was not on any stage. I was still out in goddamn Chantilly, Virginia, and I was like, this is how it happens for you, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, did I do my damnedest to get noticed via Twitter. Yeah, that is the proper reaction here.
It's so sweet because it's like, yeah, everyone who made those early Twitter lists is really thriving in the lap of success right
Oh my,
now.
like the entirety of Twitter in terms of entertainment careers has launched like what, 3, 4 writers or something? You know what I mean? Like,
If anything, it's taken more people down.
oh yeah, you're right. You're right. The ledgers completely are in the negative at the end of the day when it comes to comedy career work. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what was that Star Wars character? It's a trap.
Oh, Akbar.
Akbar.
Admiral Akbar.
That's Twitter.
Yeah, it really is because you can go down that rabbit hole. And I was there for, again, several years where it's just like, here's my hot take.
Mm.
And you look back and you're like, A, who gives a fuck? And B, there's a self-importance to it that
Mm-hmm.
really, if you get a bit of perspective on it, you're like, no one fucking cares what you think about James Corden. That fat cat makeup shit.
Mm-hmm.
But B, yeah, like there's this, especially what's happened in the late 2010s, early 2020s, it's like the risk reward of people going back through old tweets and being like, this motherfucker said that.
Yeah, no, it's happened. And I around the time where the tide started to turn, I dug through all my old tweets, which was like, that's a lot of garbage to sift through
Oh mine
to
are
make sure that there
horrific.
was nothing to. And that's also so self-important because it's like, who the fuck is looking at me? Who the shit cares? I'm nobody. And then I realized that, like, yeah, I mean, ultimately it would behoove all of us to just delete the whole damn thing, because once you say something and publish it and it's on the internet forever, then yeah, it can come back to haunt you, even though saying things used to just be, a temporary thing. You say it, it's in the air, poof, it's gone.
Well,
People remember you being an asshole, but not the entire world can see it.
and it's how much the goalposts move with time, and it seems to possibly be accelerating with
Mm,
technology. I'm not sure if that is the truth, but like the very easy example is The Office, which ran from like I think 04 to 13 or something like that, 05 to 13. And
Hmm.
you had Steve Carell doing, like, like quote unquote racially offensive characters and stuff. And the gag was everyone else knew it was offensive, but Steve Carell. And that's not space that gets explored, especially on a network show these days. You know what I mean? Like, they would just be like, yeah, we all just inherently know that this is offensive now. We don't want to
Right.
walk that plank one way or the other.
Yeah, it's hard. I think that like we were like deeply in an era of shock value comedy that was also reliant on a lot of cringe comedy, and that was sort of like Ricky Gervais's bread and butter because he
Hmm.
started The Office, and also the show Extras had a lot of that stuff. And to be fair, like I love those shows. And I think that like same for Family Guy or South Park, or people who were leaning heavily into gallows humor and offensive comedy and racial shit, where it was sort of like it was supposed to be like, oh, isn't it ridiculous that anybody would act this way or believe this? Like the main character is always supposed to be the butt of the joke.
Yes,
But
exactly. In no way are we supposed to rah along with this person. They're a
right.
fucking idiot for our ridicule.
But then like, it became a slippery slope because I feel like, the actual people involved who it's not like I don't know. You can be a black person or a gay person or um
Can you, Molly?
no, I mean you could be a marginalized person and still feel as though you're being exploited for a joke like that. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when like social justice issues aren't, they're so prevalent and things are so bad that like it's adding insult to injury. And I think that like, then the creators of things like that get defensive because they're like, oh shit, now people think I'm racist and I have to backpedal or I have to double down and now come off as adversarial or insensitive. But really, I'm not a bad, like, I don't think that, Ricky Gervais or Seth MacFarlane or Trey Parker are bad guys.
Yeah,
You
fuck
know
no.
what I mean? But I think that this is like difficult territory to navigate because the pendulum swung back so fast. And then also it's compounded by social media where now you have like grassroots criticism instead of it just being critics or papers or whatever making commentary. Now anybody can comment on it, and and that's a good thing though. I mean, it's not the end of the world for Schmucky McGee 66 to have an opinion. What harm does it do you ultimately? You know what I mean?
My Twitter
um
handle ends in a 69. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I thought you were Schmucky McGee 68. So yeah, I mean, it's tough. I feel like everyone's tensions are running high, and everyone's like, there's a lot of sensitivity, and that's why you see people like Dave Chappelle just getting like really sort of like, I'm not bad and I support trans people, but I also don't support trans people. It's like a weird double-edged thing where it's like,
Oh yeah, I mean,
because artists
the,
are also very sensitive, and it's like anytime anyone disagrees with them, especially if they're rich or usually surrounded by yes men, it's probably like, what the fuck is happening?
100%. And I think for Chappelle, so long being like this kind of underdog champion, like you're a comedian coming up and you're a black dude and you're telling it like it is. God, that's the whitest thing I'll ever say. But
Telling it like it
telling it like they say on the streets.
is.
Um, it
Keeping it
probably
real.
because I actually saw him touring, uh, right, but like doing the material for that special, the most recent one. I forgot what the fuck it's called. That like where he really doubled down on the trans humor and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird to me because like on one hand, I fucking just say what you want about me. I don't like I love trans people. I've made trans friends through my time in improv comedy and stuff. Like
You're
I
like, I am trans when I take enough Adderall.
yeah, exactly. Fuck. Like I hope this yeah. Yeah. Like yeah. God damn, I am really really retracted right now. But real box turtle situation going on. But like I can't speak for what's in Chappelle's heart. Like on one hand, I don't think he has genuine malice towards trans people. Like he seemed, for someone who's supposed to be transphobic, he seemed very respecting of pronouns and things of that nature. But then he would swing pretty hard in the other direction, where it's like, I mean, for me, comedically, it's like if your kid isn't trans, if you're not trans, if a loved one isn't trans, it's just maybe not the most fascinating space to explore. I don't fucking know what
Right.
I mean. Like,
I feel like a lot of this behavior on his part and on the part of other people like that, like Bill Maher, people who like bemoan cancel culture in that sense all the time, when really it's like you're not going to get canceled because you didn't commit an actual crime. People might not like what you said or like blah blah blah.
yeah,
Um, but I feel like it really is a symptom of defensiveness on the part of people who desperately deep down need to be liked, and when they aren't, they just snap to hostility. Um,
yeah. Why the fuck do any of us do comedy other than we think us as ourselves, unvarnished, aren't good enough? We're
well,
not worthy of love and attention. So, like,
exactly. That's the main reason you do comedy, is because you desperately need, the validation that your parents never gave you.
yeah, it's
Um,
a very simple equation. It's just
so
like, well, regular me is not good enough. Funny me, here's funny me. Like,
Right. But then you can very quickly, like, let's say you get heckled the wrong way and all of a sudden you turn into Bill Hicks leaning over the stool screaming that Hitler didn't go far enough. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
they can turn on a dime when they get their little feelings hurt. So,
And then the Jews gave him cancer.
yeah. And then the Hollywood Illuminati Jews gave him cancer.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm glad we got to
no,
the.
he wasn't saying anti-Semitic wise. He was like saying that Hitler should have like just killed everybody. Like,
Mhm.
because every human is awful. It
I
must
think
have
that's
been
a
it must have
soundbite
been
that
quite
would
a
have done
heckle. I actually
fine
wish
in
I
21.
what?
I said that's probably a soundbite that would have just done fine in 21. You know what I mean? No one would have played that 10-second clip and tried to sink the man's career.
Yeah. Dig up Bill Hicks so we can cancel him.
And then I can have that threesome with Joan
Gonna
Rivers.
tag him in some nasty tweets. My take on Bill Hicks.
Oh God, fucking! I had the weirdest exposure to Bill Hicks. Like, it was not originally through his comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was the inlay to Tool's Enema album. Had like this cartoon depiction of him with like a mutant patient, and I believe it was captioned. I didn't even own this album, but I had so many friends that did, that
Okay.
I think I could still tell you it said Bill Hicks, Another Dead Hero.
Mm.
I could be wrong. And then, oddly enough, the first stand-up book that I ever purchased was Dennis Leary's No Cure for Cancer, which was, I guess, like the most rip-off of Bill Hicks
Mm.
there ever was.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like, I'm trying to think of getting acquainted with something through the shit facsimile,
Yeah.
but then thinking that's the genuine article because it's what you were exposed to first. But I cannot come up with a silly.
I'm sorry. I got distracted thinking about the sheer mileage that Dennis Leary got out of smoking.
Oh my God.
It's just like all you had to do there was stand there with a cigarette and, sort
Oh,
of like.
like at least Carrot Top had different props. God damn. Dennis Leary's entire act was just sucking down butts on a stage. I mean, like,
Which I respect. I
oh,
mean,
fuck yeah. Of
nice
course.
work
Yeah.
if you can get it. Um, I don't know. It's funny. I feel for everyone so deeply.
Yeah. It's just so hard being this empathetic now.
It's so hard being a millionaire and having people not like you as the world crumbles. Um, anyway, well, it's a shame you didn't hit it off with Vickie.
No, I did not. No Dickie for Vickie.
Um, what are there? Do you want to? Are there any other topical topics that you want to cover? Should we talk about Ghislaine Maxwell? Or
Oh boy. I have retreated so far from the news as of late. I don't know. I think it's just been a genuine, like a kind of a gradual thing since Biden was elected, where it's like,
Mm.
okay, I don't have to like listen for the last 10 minutes, whatever the fuck is going to make me existentially angry that the president, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
once it became that, and it's like a more normal kind of the world is going to hell, I've just been like, look, I'm just going to vote the way I'm going to vote, and uh, donate, I guess, a little bit, and that's all I'm fucking doing. So
Mm-hmm.
that wins me the prize of not having to pay attention to the goddamn news so much. Yes, but the whole Epstein thing.
Oh, she I guess she got sentenced and she's yeah, she's going away. So now
Shit.
everyone's sharing photos of her and Jeffrey Epstein being like, "Oh, great couples finish each other's sentences."
Sentences, yeah.
On
Imagine
comedy
being the
Twitter.
first person that did actually come up with that. It's
I'm sure they're rolling in dough right now.
yeah. No,
I'm
it's
sure the royalties are just a tsunami of royalties.
exactly no schmucky ducky 69, and the tweet has 2 likes.
I mean, there's no hope for us.
Yeah.
um, I don't know. Yeah,
No, I
good
don't have
times.
much else other than I'll finish with this odd story that has fascinated me in my personal life today. Um, 5 years ago, when I first started doing improv classes, and I actually threw a stand-up class into the mix early on. Did you ever do one of those things to motivate your ass, or no? You just actually sacked up and did it?
What, an improv class?
No, stand. Well, have you done
Oh, a
improv classes,
stand-up
but also
class.
stand-up
I
classes?
didn't take a stand-up class. I did open mics and audition spots and
Okay,
all that stuff.
yeah, like what actual people who want to do this do. But
I mean,
stand-up
barely, but yeah.
classes, yeah, stand-up classes are for people who talk a good game
hmm
about wanting to do stand-up.
Okay.
Like, I'm the funny doctor, I'm the funny lawyer, I'm the funny this, I'm the funny that, I'm the funny locksmith.
Right.
And, my friend said I needed to do this, so I finally did it. Really early on, maybe like within 30 seconds of actually having to do stand-up, you figure out you kind of hate it for most of these people.
hmm
Like, I want to say that the retention rate to go on to mics beyond so mine was at the DC Improv. It's hosted by this stand-up from the Philly area, dude named Chris Cochia.
hmm
He's nice enough guy. Chris literally comes down on the train from Philly pretty much every Sunday. This class is booked up 6 months in advance. Deep as shit wait list. 16 people show up 4 weeks in a row. You go on the stage at the DC Improv. You bang out 5 minutes of material. It's amazing to see people trying to do a new 5 minute set every week. And it's like, no, you're going to deliver, even with 4 weeks of practice, your first set horrifically poorly. So please focus. And then your classmates are like, well, I like this and I didn't like that. And you just want to be like, well, shut the fuck up. You're as bad at this as I am. You know what I mean? It's a weird experience. And then there's the grad show where everyone applauds and everyone gets their photo taken in front of the DC Improv signage, and it becomes like your Facebook profile in
This sounds like
perpetuity.
a great grift. This guy
It's
sounds like the
amazing.
fucking what's it, Henry Hill of fucking stand-up
Chris
comedy.
Cochia. Yeah, you got the alliteration.
Nice.
Chris Cochia.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
think
got trouble.
he landed the gig a long time ago, and it's like, yeah, do that math. So what, 350
hmm
times 16 off the top of my head, you're talking like high 5,000s or something.
He's a one-man UCB.
Yeah, exactly. So even if he's getting 1/3 of that cut, let's say half. Yeah, he's banking per 4 weeks like 2,500 doing it or whatever the fuck. Um,
John, you should start an improv school.
Oh my God, this would be amazing. Just in the like side area of a McDonald's or something, like the ball pit of a Chick-fil-A.
I love this for you. I
Uh,
mean, if being on this pod with you has taught me anything, is that you're gifted in the art of bullshit. You should totally
oh,
start an
completely.
improv school.
Absolutely. And it'd be like, we are in this slidey hole because
hmm
I need to remind you of a child's freedom of play.
Right.
And they'll go, ooh, and then yes.
Pretend this ball pit is your emotions and you're
Yeah.
trying to navigate.
Emotions that can give you hepatitis if you go into
Yeah.
them with your mouth open. I bring this up because 5 years ago when I did this,
Hmm.
one of the people was a woman by the name of Burke Johnson. And I'm not going to say anything bad about Burke. Not that I
Hmm.
really have anything bad to say, but I can drop her full name because fuck it, I can. Um,
That's bad enough.
yeah, exactly. So Burke was like really attractive. I was there with my buddy Pete Maybe, who was on the show back in the day. Uh,
Hmm.
dude named Oathman, a couple friends. We were all just like, "Holy shit, this girl's gorgeous!" Like she, curly hair, blah blah blah. Like most of us, had a shit set. You know what I mean? Like, did not do well. Most people go on stage and shocker, in 4 weeks of doing 5 minute sets, you have not developed the stage presence of a Dave Chappelle, for example. So uh, Burke really, I Facebook friended her, just taking a flyer, but there was no real interaction. And to my knowledge, she never really does Facebook. She's just one of those people that, like, once a year, like a dead person, you're reminded of their existence because it's like, it's such and such's birthday today. Well,
Hmm.
today, December 30th, is Burke Johnson's birthday. And
Oh.
I was like, oh shit, what's she been up to? And I click on her profile,
Hmm.
and there's like,
And she's dead.
yeah, and I went, good for her.
Yeah.
Um, no, it's same deal. She's posting none of her content,
Uh-huh.
but I scroll back a couple of months, looking for like summer bikini pics she's tagged in. Fuck it, whatever.
Right.
And I see something posted by like her mom back in February, and it's like a link to a Netflix show starring Kevin James.
Okay.
And it's like, please check this out. Girl Burke is writing for it.
Oh, wow.
And well, that's a considerate reaction. I was just like awash in, feelings of cosmic injustice and shit.
Well, I
Cause
mean, so it's just, yeah, she's actually working instead of dicking around on
I was
social
just like,
media like the
what
rest of
the
us.
fuck happened in the ensuing 4/5 years? Like,
Yeah.
because I never heard of her in the comedy scene in DC. She wasn't doing stand up. I didn't hear of her doing improv. And I'm not going to act like I've done any Googling of her name yet, but I'm probably going to, at some point, go through the credits of whatever the fuck this show was and be like, is she really writing? Because that's insane. Like, I think she was like freshly out of law school at the time or something. Like, she was really motivated. Even I know I'm answering my own question as I say this out loud. All right,
Well,
fine.
not everyone goes the performance route. I mean, some people actually, I mean, I know a lot of writers do and succeed that way, but I feel like also a lot of people maybe try that route and then ditch it and then just focus on the writing stuff, and then that's where they excel.
I mean, fuck, I would love to do the writing chunk of things, though. Like, that's never been floated toward me. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll float some shit towards you if you want to do the writing stuff.
yeah, yeah. I don't care. Is this like fucking obits for a local newspaper? I don't care. Yeah, fuck it. Let's do it. Heckerling, let's write. Like,
Let's come up with something that Mike Sachs will try to help us with and then regret trying to help
and
us
then
later.
blow it up. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just, and like some cigar smoking figure is going to turn to him and go, strike two, sexy boy.
One more and you're out.
Yeah, we revoke your Judaism. Yeah, no, honestly, the coolest thing to ever happen to me because of performing probably happened like 48 hours ago. Like, some woman tracked me down from my improv show and was like, you were very funny and attractive. And I'm like, I've never heard more important words. Continue. Like, and
I
I've
mean,
been,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Oh God, it's fucking amazing. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
Like,
you never know. Someone saw me do comedy and then he asked me to be in his play, like in the Fringe Festival. And it was
mhm.
sort of like, you think that I can do things based on seeing that? Okay.
How did it go?
It was good.
That's awesome. Jesus.
It was a long ass time ago now. It was like pre-pandemic and I was like I was early pregnant with Rosie knowing none of this was going to happen.
So what, you're saying like he had a lactation thing?
No, I'm saying that, like, had I known we would have gone into a global pandemic, maybe I would have thought it was like selfish to have another kid or something.
Yeah,
But
that
fuck
too.
it. She's
I mean,
if I
she's here.
suffer, so does she.
Giant, giant Rosie. We joke about that. I know you made funny posts. Rosie was normal size when born and is still
Yeah.
normal size, right? Okay.
Yeah, no, she's totally normal size.
Like you
Um
posted one photo once where it looked like Ken Griffey Jr. on The Simpsons, where he drank that nerve tonic and developed the
You remember that
giant
picture
head.
of like when Joe Biden and Jill Biden went to go visit the Carters? It
Okay.
was sort of like that. I don't know what the fuck it is with these cameras. But they give people gigantism if you're on the edge of the frame,
It's
apparently.
the Hype Williams fisheye lens thing from like the Missy Elliott videos.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I mean, so you looked her up and she's writing on this thing and you felt betrayed that she succeeded.
Well, yeah, it was just kind of annoying because at first it was like, but I was the one selected to close the show because my
Mm.
5 minutes was best. And I said it in that Francis Pee Wee earlier. It's my birthday, Pee Wee, and my father says I can have anything I want. And also you're like, God, this woman was like breathtakingly beautiful. I'm sure she still is, barring like an acid attack of some sort. And you're like, fuck, she's writing too. You're like, God damn it! Like, was this the one? Did I flub up?
Aw.
Yeah, but no, I do. If anyone wants to do my homework for me, Burke Johnson was writing for a Kevin James show on Netflix that dropped Feb of 21.
All right. Because
Yeah.
you're a friend. I'll do some stalking for you.
Oh,
I'm on this. I'll violate some boundaries. I'll figure some things out.
I fucking love it. You're like, look, I got a friend who's a cop.
Yeah.
This can get scary if you wanted
Oh no, I just have a lot of spare time on my hands.
to. Oh God, that's always the best if you have a friend in law enforcement and you're like, oh, if only I knew her name, and they're just like, you want it? You got a partial plate number? And you're like, no, no, no.
Oh, okay. So next episode we'll blow the lid off stalking and law enforcement.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it wasn't the meat cute you thought it was, honey.
Nice.
Oh shit. Well, Molly.
We didn't
Uh,
even talk about how our Christmas was, but fuck it.
oh,
Um,
I haven't opened my gifts yet.
oh, okay.
Like yeah, my family's weird like that, where my brother wants to act like even opening presents is a chore. And so
Oh.
he'll like emotionally blackmail my mom and be like, look, we're not fighting right now. Do you want that to change? And I'm 40, so there's nothing under the tree I'm going to give a fuck about, like what socks did you take a stab with this year? Like I don't care. So I will take a photo right now, December 30th, of the wrapped offerings still under the tree. Like sometimes that shit gets done after inauguration. You know what I mean? Like it just lingers.
I love that though. If it remains unopened, then maybe it's really something wonderful. As long as the
Oh yeah,
mystery is
yeah.
there.
Fucking Schrodinger's president, like it might be a dead cat, might be laptop.
Might be a girlfriend.
Exactly. Might be Burke Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh shit. How about you? How did it go with you guys?
Oh, it was fine. I made a roast and then they yelled at each other and it was fine.
Oh wait, no, how did the yelling parse out? Like there's a lot of they in that household. I wanna
Oh, it was no. I mean, mom and grandma don't eat, so like whatever. I tried to compensate for how shitty Thanksgiving was.
you
I'm making
you've
Christmas nice.
explained this, by the way, on previous podcasts that
Did I?
your mom, well, you've touched
Oh,
on
that
it. I
she
shouldn't say
doesn't
explain.
eat.
Yeah, that like
Yeah.
she's like this weird kind of almost anorexic where she like eats shadows or
No,
something.
there's
Like
a term for it. It's called orthorexia, where it's
or
like an obsession. It's sort of revolves around an obsession with health and being healthy, but you
okay.
systematically eliminate things from your diet, and it kind of affects your social life and how comfortable you feel being around, other people. I don't know. It's a weird blah, blah, blah.
It's funny because I'm trying to bust out my Greek roots of words knowledge here, and just orthorexia sounds like someone who doesn't eat shoes.
You're like, it sounds bird related.
Yeah, exactly. Is it the sister of Bebe Rexha? I don't.
Something with bones.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh God.
but no, it was more about like me and Jason and the kids because they're the Gentiles.
Yes, exactly.
Nice for the Gentiles. And we can't go to Albany to see your weird Aunt Margaret. Let me make us something here. And then Jason and Harper got into a fight about a cardboard insert for the Jenga box. We gave her Jenga and she like threw this insert away that like makes it easier to put the tiles back in the box. So this became a major point of contention.
Oh God,
And
do
it
I
was just sort
remember
of
that
like,
shit
well,
as
I
a kid?
tried.
Yeah. Oh, you did your best.
Whatever. It was still good. It was still good and nice and whatever. And now New Year's, it's the lull before New Year, so everyone should just get to like fuck off and be, miserable and
Yeah.
lazy until then. So
God,
fuck
in
it.
theory, I'm supposed to turn in a bunch of late paperwork that needed to be done last year. And it
Mm-hmm.
gets to the point, like, I have to tell customers, like, can we just pretend I did this on January 1st for everyone's books? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's horrible. No, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember as a kid, like, the image of parents sifting through trash cans filled with wrapping paper because, like, a Lego piece might be in the mix
Yeah.
and you can't build the castle without it.
And you're like, well, where is it?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
did you
yeah.
do with it?
I had something similar yesterday. I was out front of a taco shop
Mm-hmm.
and I threw away what I thought were like bags of old locks I wasn't going to use. And then I think there might have been like, I don't know, like a $15 lock cylinder in the mix that I could use. And I was like, ah, shit. And I kind of like started tapping through the garbage. And after like 10 seconds, it was like, this is not a good look, sir. Like you need to wave goodbye to the taco smeared locks and get on with your life and eat tacos yourself.
Mm-hmm. I love that you're like digging through the corner and you're like, this is making me hungry.
Yeah. Like no wonder people stop there.
Oh, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Happy New Year coming up to you and the fam.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. And I guess we'll pod again early in the new year, like, fucking weekish from now.
Yeah. We'll pod after our New Year's and we'll talk about getting drunk at home and
Oh God,
debating
yeah.
whether or not to put on pants. Oh,
Hopefully.
unless maybe you're going to your friend's house with the cat who shits
I think
systematically.
I think I am. Like I
Yeah.
think I'm running back to my friend Dawn's place where I stayed for like a month and a half and tasted sweet, sweet adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe by 2022 my penis will be descended again.
That'll be good. Yeah, you'll go there. You'll set the tone for 2022 to like get out. Your penis will drop after the countdown, and then yeah.
Yeah, Dick Clark will come back from the grave and strokily announce the descending of my shaft.
Yeah. He and Kathy Griffin will stand beside your penis and celebrate. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
thanks for having me
I'll
again.
upload this. Has anyone listened that has given you positive feedback? I know a lot of people are enjoying you on the show,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah, have you? This is me being like,
I'm like, that
have you
sounds like a lot. No, I mean,
have you
no, we've
shared
gotten
it with
some
them?
nice tweets. We've gotten some very like,
We have. We
yeah,
have.
some
I
positive
just
retweets.
I want you to tell me that your New York comedy friends are like, this guy, he's New York level funny. And Molly, you're killing it yourself.
I think you're like way overestimating quote unquote New York funny.
Yeah, I know.
I'm very sorry to burst this bubble for you.
I know. I know. It's like the guys that haven't gone to college and they,
Yeah.
like think of college as the fucking Lyceum or something. And it's just like people getting on Tinder and spreading gonorrhea to each other like a nursing home, and
Oh, I mean,
sleeping through glass.
that sounds awesome. All the people in NYU just like killed themselves first semester.
I like that. That's definitive, at least.
Yeah,
Oh,
this was an animal house.
yeah. Bye.
Geronimo.
Bye, Delta Splata. Yeah. Shit. All right.
Okay, well, happy holidays.
Yeah, you too, Heckerling. We'll talk in 2022, except I'm sure we'll tweet and text in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Later.
Bye.